Hey y'all, sorry, I had a technical difficulty. I don't know why when I went live last time it wouldn't connect to my camera, but I'm posting here instead. Hopefully people join. Hey. Okay, people are seeing it. No, I don't know what was going on my last um with my camera. It like wasn't connecting to my laptop. It was trying to connect to my phone. And I hate that it does that. Hey girl. All right, hey y'all. We got people in here. And if they don't see it, they can just catch the replay because I want to get started. Sorry about that. I don't know what was going on. Thank you, girl. Yeah, it wasn't connecting to my camera. It was just a black screen. So I had to restart it, and it was just ridiculous. But I'm glad you were able to find me. Happy Aquarius season. Hey y'all, what's going on? It's your girl, Mikayla Rose, joined by my lovely pup in the background who is sleeping like he has a fucking job. Anyway, let's talk about Aquarius. So I am a little late because Aquarius season started Sunday, um, January 19th at around 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So my fault, right? But we're here. And I'm gonna get into why I was late because I had a Sun Pluto situation. But let's talk about the Aquarius, like just overview Aquarius really quick, right? So, Aquarius, the sun will be in Aquarius, like I said, from January 19th all the way into February 18th when it enters Pisces. So, Aquarius, as the sign, is a fixed air sign that carries the quality of discipline and innovation. It has rulership with Saturn and Uranus, right? So it bridges the gap between the old and the new. It breaks structures, all that good shit. People tend to look at the modern ruler, which is just Uranus, but what they forget usually is that Saturn it's still its ruler. It's still ruled by Saturn, right? And Saturn represents confinements and restrictions. This is the perfect representation of Aquarius's rulership of community because what is a community? It's something within a confinement, right? Within a structure, right? And so Uranus is the planet that shows a multitude of networks and everything kind of like interlinking with each other. So we have Saturn, its ruler, showing us those constraints and those boundaries and those restrictions. But Uranus shows us how all of these systems work together for a common goal or a greater good, which a greater good or not. And that's where we're able to step in and revolutionize the system in ways in the when we see the things that Aquarius or when we see the structures, I'm sorry, when we see the structures that are being set up by Saturn, when we see that there's a leak in the system, that's when Aquarius can step in with that Uranus rulership and revolutionize it. And so, because of this dual rulership, Aquarius represents the visionary rebel, the one who goes against the grain and desires to improve the systems that we are confined to. So, of course, every sign has its shadow side or dark side. So, the dark side of Aquarius, excuse me, is detachment, it's coldness, it's rebellion without a cause, it's over idealism. I talked about this before, where Aquarius has the ability to like zoom out and see the big picture. And sometimes that can lead to being overly objective or overly cold, very detached. And I speak a lot about how like the focus on the collective can abandon the emotional needs of the individual. And we've been seeing that a lot lately, right? Like the LA fires has been the biggest example that I can think of in this moment where people are like, oh, this is a purge and it's transformation, blah, 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 but they're forgetting the emotional needs of the people who are actually going through it, right? And so, on a grand scheme, we may see how things are working out for the greater good, but Aquarius on the shadow side can kind of abandon what that feels like on a one-to-one level, right? Um, and that's actually kind of denoted by each tarot card, well, each sign has a tarot card that rules its sign, and then it has three tarot cards that rules the decans or the little 10-degree sections within the card. So that detachment from the individual is actually represented by the Five of Swords. Like, is it really a win on a grand scale if the needs of the individual are abandoned? Leo is opposite of Aquarius, right? And so Leo is personal expression or self-identity, the self, right? So if Leo is the self, Aquarius is like the audience or the collective. And so this is the axis of ego. Leo and Aquarius is the axis of ego, where one is more self-serving while the other is focused on serving the collective, both kind of feeding their egos in different ways. But, you know, Aquarius can be a bit too zoomed out at times to actually recognize what the person that's standing in front of them is actually going through, because they see the bigger picture. It can be hard for Aquarius to be empathetic. The rebellion without a cause can also be that Aquarian shadow side, like I said, where they are resistant to authority because they have the Saturn Uranus rulership. So they can be resistant to authority and kind of like over contrarian just for the sake of being different, even when the system that is in place that they think should be broken is beneficial, right? And so I'm an Aquarius moon. Well, I'm an Aquarius moon, Jupiter, Uranus. And so I identify with this a lot. Like, I can deeply relate to like over idealism, because sometimes like seeing the big picture can make Aquarius feel very impatient or disillusioned when the simple solution is not what could be a simple solution to me or to the Aquarius is not accepted on a grand scale, mostly because a lot of times people don't see things the way that you see them. You know, they don't see things the way that Aquarius sees them. And this isn't only for Aquarius placements. In Aquarius season, we have all of our signs in our chart, right? So where Aquarius is, this is where you are a visionary and this is where you can see the big picture. But this can be like something that's you're so forward thinking that you abandon your needs in the moment. And even like I said, I'm Aquarius moon, right? So even for me, y'all know how I am with Scorpio moons. It's a Scorpio moon right now. And so because they square, Aquarius sometimes is so forward thinking and so big that when they even abandon their own needs, right? So that's what Scorpio moons do to me. Sometimes I'm like faced head on with my fucking shadows and my fucking demons, because I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even realize this is what I needed in this moment because I was so up here, right? So that's something that people may deal with Aquarius placements. That's why those two energies square, because there's one is kind of seeing things from a shadowy perspective and one is kind of seeing things from up here, and it's hard for them to like come into agreement and recognize like, okay, don't abandon your needs right now. Hey y'all. Yeah, welcome. Okay, Aquarius midheaven. I love an Aquarius midheaven. Revolutionaries for real. All right, so let's get into the tarot correspondence, right? Because I'm a Mercury and Pisces, so I feel like the visual helps. So last time when I was talking about Mercury and Capricorn, I was talking about the devil card and, you know, the magician in the realm of the devil. So today we're going to be talking about the sun in the realm of the star, which is the Aquarius archetype, right? So I got my giant Rider-Waite deck so that y'all can see everything, right? And so the star card, I don't want it to glare. The star card is an Aquarius card because this is the visionary. Like I said, you are able to see the big picture. So when I think about the star card, or when I think about any card, I think about its point in the journey in the tarot, right? Because all of these tools, whether it's a tarot or astrology or the Bible or the Quran or whatever tool that you use, they all kind of show a similar story in regard to the evolution of humanity, you know, the evolution of time. And so I think about its position in the fool's journey. And so what comes before the star? There is the devil, which is Capricorn, and then the tower, and then the star, right? And so I was talking about in the Mercury and Capricorn video, I was talking about what are we bound to? What are we binding ourselves to when it comes to the devil, right? Because nobody's forcing them to be there. So what are we choosing to bound ourselves to, right? We then recognize, okay, maybe we have bound ourselves to the wrong things. Maybe the things that we are, our sense of success and our sense of stability is not where we should be finding that sense of stability, right? And so then in comes the tower to crumble all of that illusion and kind of bring you back to God, right? Bring you back to spirit, bring you back to your divinity. And then the star comes in to usher in hope and inspiration. And like I said, we can zoom out, we can see the big picture. It encourages us to have faith in divine timing in everything that we do, right? So Aquarius is the water bearer. You see the water here, the water bearer symbolism, right? And so the water bearer archetype symbolizes pouring out wisdom and knowledge and healing to humanity. And so in the star card, he's pouring water onto the earth and into the water. So it's representing nurturing the material and spiritual realms. So this kind of mirrors the Aquarius role as a humanitarian and as a visionary. And this is the card of the pursuit of something bigger, something deeper, something greater. This is a reminder of what our divine purpose is and what the ultimate goal and the ultimate mission is, right? So I think that's a great representation of what Aquarius actually means because of its Uranus rulership, right? So when we think about thanks for the large part, you're so funny. Yeah, we need the big cards. And so when we think about the sun, right? The sun card literally is ruled by the sun. And so if you think of how the sun reacts in the star card, if you put joy and vitality and success and bliss and all of that, right, into the realm of the star, we find our vitality in our greater vision, in our greater purpose. What that does for us is shows us where we need to shift our focus, not toward material things like in Capricorn season, in the devil, where we're bound to our material success and our earthly matters, right? Because Capricorn is like earthly material things, right? In Aquarius, in the star, we are reminded to embrace universal consciousness and the interconnectedness of all things. That's something Abraham Hicks says. If y'all are familiar with Abraham Hicks, if not, I would check them out, because amazing, phenomenal. And so they say interconnectedness of all things because that's kind of like the only way we can describe it in English, where how I was saying Uranus is like a multitude of networks, and not just like, I always relate Uranus energy to like a flea market, right? Where Mercury is like the one-on-one connection or the one-on-one sale, but Uranus is like all of those sales, the whole marketplace interacting with each other. And so think of the world on a grand scale as a flea market. We're all interacting with each other, we're all exchanging information with each other, we're all selling to each other, we're all exchanging things with each other. That in itself is Aquarius, the grand scheme of things, right? Up here. You're gonna see me do this a lot because that's my zoom out maneuver. And so Aquarius reminds us of the interconnectedness of all things. Yeah, I love Abraham Hicks. Hicks is amazing. I listen to them in the morning. Okay, so we did Aquarius overview, we did the shadow side, we did the tarot correspondence. Let's get into the aspects, because I know that's what people want to know. Like, how is the sun moving through Aquarius? What's going on with the planets that it's talking to? What's going on? Okay, so January 21st, which is today, we've had Sun conjunct Pluto. It is exact. You probably have been starting to feel Sun conjunct Pluto immediately as the sun entered Aquarius, because, Pluto's at 1 degree, right? So when the sun entered 0 degrees Aquarius, it immediately was kind of feeling Pluto's influence. And we'll kind of feel it throughout Aquarius season, because once again, Pluto is co-present here. But today the aspect, the conjunction is exact. And so my good friend Aya, she made a post that said, you will heal once you free yourself from the prison you created in your mind. And I thought that was perfect to reference for this transit, right? Because it reminded me of like what I was talking about with Capricorn, where we're bound to, like, what are you bound to? What are you binding yourself to? What are you shackled to? And as we usher in Aquarius season with the Sun Pluto aspect, remember that the sun illuminates everything that it touches. And of course, it's no different for Pluto. So Pluto is death and transformation, but it's also survival. It's also fears. It's also like our demons, our deep-rooted fears that manifest as our demons. So there's this illumination of fear and distress while the demons come out to talk to you. You know, you're kind of forced to face them head on. You're kind of forced to figure out what are they trying to say? What are they trying to tell me? And they can do this in one of two ways. And I always say even demons serve God, because there's either going to be a conversation or there's going to be a trigger. they can bring you to your knees, which will bring you back to God and will bring you back to your faith, or they'll support you by externalizing your deep rooted emotions that you can, so that you can find a sense of strength from them. So either way, eventually it'll bring you back to your divinity, but the frustration or the timing that it takes to come back to spirit, to God, to source, is up to you and how well you handle those fears, right? And so, like I said, with the Scorpio moon today, the moon is also in Scorpio. So um our unconscious fears and our needs are brought to the surface, right? So we're being asked, what do we need to feel safe? Like, what do we need to feel whole and to feel like our needs are being taken care of, right? And of all of these fears that are popping up, or all of these uncomfortable emotions that are popping up at this time, because Scorpio squares Aquarius, so we are dealing with like a sun square moon. So like I said, there's that friction, there's that conflict, they're at odds. Once again, how do we bring them into alignment? Because square aspects are for our maturation, they're for us to grow from, right? So what do we need right now? And so, like I said, I'm an Aquarius moon, so I've been feeling this transit very deeply. I'm a 0 degree Aquarius moon, so Pluto has been on my moon for what, like 2 years now, which has been shifting my concept of safety and security. But of course, it was amplified by the sun joining this mix. And what this transit has been highlighting for me personally has been this deep desire for connection. And I was like, oh, I have to say this on my live, because I think we're all kind of feeling that right now. Like this, we're like recognizing how lonely we actually kind of all are. And because Aquarius is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is in Pisces, dissolving bounds. I think one of the bounds that have been dissolved has been our sense of what community actually is and where we find our community. And I think, honestly, I don't think most of us are okay. I don't think most of us have been okay for a long time, honestly, since the pandemic. And I think we all saw how not okay we are with the TikTok ban. And this is not about TikTok. Don't make it about TikTok, but I'm just using that as an example of how like our illusion of community was kind of destroyed, right? Even though it's reinstated, I think our illusion of community is kind of destroyed. And we recognize, wow, I'm losing this sense of community that I have built, when really um it's highlighting where we are lacking in the sense of connection. Like the internet is cool, but how can you deepen that connection in your reality in a way that makes sense for you, in a way that makes sense for what your needs and your desires are? There's a fake sense of security when it comes to community on the internet. I'm not saying the internet is a bad place to build community. I've built great connections on the internet. I'm sure a lot of you have. But how can you then transition? I was about to say transmute, but how can you transition that into something even deeper, right? And I'll talk about that a little bit more when it comes to like Uranus and Taurus as well. Um, but so even for me, like as an Aquarius moon, as I was navigating those fears or that realization, I realized how I wanted to shift my community to feel more intimate and to feel more safe, not just for me, but the people who are involved, and to feel like we're actually exchanging resources and they're not just, people on since we're using the example of TikTok, people on TikTok, they've built this following of people who support them, but is it mutually beneficial, right? Are we really exchanging resources, which is Aquarius? And so, yeah, I think Sun Pluto highlighted our need for community and how not okay we actually are, um, and how we need to strengthen our sources of community. And I've also seen a lot of people leaving the internet entirely too, which is something I've been debating with as well. But hopefully, with Uranus moving into Gemini, we find more community in real life. Anyway, I digress. Aw, hey Dom, hey Alexis. Yes, definitely a false sense of community. And we have to go so much deeper when it comes to the connections that we're making. Like, how can we take them off of these platforms and actually build something that is sustainable in real life? That exchanges resources or puts people in better positions in real life. And I'm gonna talk about a really good example of this later on in my transit breakdown. So that's today with Sun Pluto. Um, just recognizing where we lack community. So on the 29th, because we don't have any major sun transits over the next few days, but on the 29th, we have the new moon in Aquarius. Not much to say on this. You already know how new moons and full moons are. Like, new moon is moon conjunct sun, full moons are sun conjunct moon. I mean, sun opposite moon. So I personally think the new moon in Aquarius is more of a recognition of the bounds that need to be dissolved, right? I was talking about Saturn and Pisces and how Saturn and Pisces is dissolving our concept of structure and our concept of what we root ourselves in, right? And so I think the new moon in Aquarius will give us an idea of where we would like to focus our revolution, our conscious and our unconscious need, because this is sun conjunct moon. Our conscious and our unconscious needs kind of come into alignment, and we are made aware of how our vision for the world is a projection of our desire for community and connection. And we make the intentions, or we set the intentions surrounding community building, world building, kingdom building. How can we set up the world or curate the world that is in alignment with that, So that's January 29th, new moon in Aquarius. January 30th, January 30th, I think we'll see more building from those new moon intentions, right? Because this is literally the day after. This is Sun trine Jupiter, which is retrograde in Gemini, and then Uranus actually also goes direct on this day. So the Sun and Jupiter are moving in tandem, right? Trine aspects are seamless flows of energy. Think of like the three, like think of a womb, right? This is where creation happens. And so both of their energies are amplified by each other, especially with Jupiter being in the mix, because it is expanding the sun's mission. So Jupiter in Gemini is desiring to explore, to play, to question things. And while it's been retrograde, Jupiter wants us to question what it is that we believe and if our actions are in alignment with those beliefs. So there is almost this breaking of cognitive dissonance, right? New information comes to the surface, and we're able to revisit our vision and how to achieve that in alignment with our ideals. And so Uranus going direct on this day also plays a major role because of its rulership on Aquarius. So just like how I was referencing Saturn and Pisces, I'm also referencing Uranus and Taurus. And so Uranus and Taurus has been shifting our relationship to money, to value, to stability. So when it goes direct, expect breakthroughs and change in these areas, how we can shift to a new paradigm of utilizing our communities and our innovative ideas to usher in like this new era of achieving financial success. Y'all, money is changing. The way we interact with money is changing. The way that we interact with value, the economic system is changing. New money, a new form of making money comes in, right? How can we redistribute wealth based on the possibilities given right now? And so, like I said, I was about to give a good example. I think Keith Lee is a really good example of this because he's built a platform around food, right? This is a comfort thing. Food is also ruled by Taurus, but he's built this platform based on just something that he finds interesting. But by building that platform, he's able to make something tangible in real life, right? He's able to bless others. He's able to pay these restaurants that he's going to expand their business. He's giving out thousands of dollars to this community, or I'm sorry, not to this community, but to this community of restaurant owners. That's where our focus should be as we usher in this new paradigm of wealth. It's not just because Taurus is like personal value and personal money, right? But Aquarius is like Uranus and Taurus is like, okay, let's shift how we interact with our personal success. What good is it if we are up here? Like we keep talking about taking down the 1%. We do that by redistributing wealth and kind of being the new people that make that example, right? Where it's not just about putting us all the way up here at the top of the pyramid, but we're also helping other people come up. We are ushering in a new paradigm of wealth. And he's the perfect example of that. Every time I watch his interviews, I'm like, no, you are absolutely able to live a successful and a beautiful and a fruitful life. I'm not saying give away all your money, duh. Like, we're not giving away all of our wealth, but you can live a beautiful, wealthy life while also helping other people build their wealth, right? And so with Uranus going direct, this is how we are being able to usher in a new paradigm of wealth and of community. How are we helping each other? How are we scratching each other's backs? Because nobody's coming to save us, so we have to save each other. Right, let me check the comments. Yeah, I love Keith Lee too. He's dope. Such a sweetheart, such a genuine soul. I can genuinely feel his spirit. Okay, so February 5th, A few days later, we have the first quarter moon. And usually I don't talk about moon transits, but because it's aspecting the sun, why not, right? So the first quarter moon, we have the moon in Taurus squaring the sun. Like I said about Taurus, like I said about squares, these are aspects that are for us to grow from, right? And so this is, how can you ensure, similar to what I was saying, how can you ensure that you are not hoarding your success? How are you sharing that with the collective? The first quarter moon is where our seeds kind of grow, where they start to take root from the new moon. Those intentions that we set from the new moon, the first quarter moon is where they take root. We're anchoring our vision in tangible action. We're loosening up in areas that we may have been stubborn. We're grounding ourselves before making these drastic changes. Taurus is stability. So like I said, instead of jumping off the ledge with Aquarius and being like, I have these new ideas, I'm about to do it, fuck yeah, I'm about to burn it down and start over. We're grounding ourselves in what that vision is and working through those and rooting our ideas and nurturing those seeds. And, we have some clarity on the direction and our role to play in society and in like this revolution and this change in wealth, right? So that's the first quarter moon, no biggie, but just something to keep in mind. Someone on Instagram asked, are we fighting for privilege or are we fighting for freedom? And I think that applies here. Absolutely. I say that all the time, where it's like, I don't feel like people are fighting for equality. I think people are fighting to get to a point where the oppression doesn't apply to them. And I want us to shift that, like, do we want to all be on the same playing field? Do we all want to be on do we all want to have equal opportunity, or do we want to just kind of like take off and do our own thing when we get enough money, And I think the people who are selfish and are just hoarding their wealth, I think this is showing us that. I think everything that's going on right now is showing us that, like, yes, Uranus and Taurus has made it easier than ever for all of us to make more money than ever. We're all starting businesses. We're all content creators. We're all influencers. We're all making money from the internet, from these platforms, which is great. What are you doing with it? Where's the long-term benefit? Because Taurus, all earth signs are about longevity. They're all long-term. So what are we now doing with this new wealth that we are able to accomplish very easily from the comfort of our own homes? What are we doing with it? That's very Uranus going direct. It's very first quarter moon in Taurus. What are we doing with it now? How are we giving that back to our community? How are we strengthening our communities based on this wealth that we're getting? Where was I? February 7th. Sun in conjunct Mars retrograde in Cancer. So I talked about the inconjunct before. The inconjunct is an aspect where two signs just don't see each other, right? They're in each other's blind spots. So there's almost like this energy of misalignment, even though, in my opinion, the inconjunct shows the missing quality of the sign. There is a misalignment that arises. So Aquarius is focused on vision and Cancer is focused on like emotional and protective needs, right? And so this can bring up feelings of stagnation, because when it comes to moving forward in your vision, there may be a need to like detach from what your personal feelings are in order to get moving, or you may actually need to take a second to work through the frustrations that are arising in the anger, and mostly towards family, because Cancer is family, right? And Mars is like anger and energy directed towards a certain thing, right? And so this could be anger towards your bloodline, or anger towards your mother, or anger towards the people that are in your community, or the people that are supposed to be nurturing you, right? There can be anger that's like, well, you didn't set me up in this way. Why am I dealing with this? Why aren't I protected? Those feelings could arise at this time, right? And so sometimes you have to recognize when to detach and when to kind of lean into those emotionally charged actions. Like, is it worth being emotionally motivated, or is it something that you should just kind of ignore and be intellectually driven? I feel like emotions serve to show you when something isn't right, and that is helping you get your vision, right? But Aquarius doesn't necessarily see it that way. And it's funny because one of my elders is like, Aquarius placements, when they deal with emotion, they observe it like a zoologist observing a wild animal. I think that's a great way to look at it. I find it so funny because it's like, yeah, that is kind of how we experience emotions. Me as an Aquarius moon, right? That is how we experience emotion. It's something that we observe. And I think with this aspect, the sun in conjunct Mars retrograde in Cancer, it's like, well, these emotions and these frustrations are arising and I can't move past them because they feel like they're stunting me. So what are they trying to say? What's going on? Why are you acting like that? Let's figure this out. Why are you angry? Okay, well, can you use that anger to channel it into something beneficial? Can you channel it into making your mission more achievable? Can it motivate you? Um, it's just this day is about recognizing how you're in your own way and how those emotions are affecting you. February 9th, we have Sun conjunct Mercury. I love a good, this is a Mercury Cazimi. Cazimi means in the heart of the sun. So I love a good Mercury Cazimi. Every time Mercury Cazimi comes around, I get hella revelations. So that's pretty much the gist of February 9th with Sun conjunct Mercury. That's Mercury, of course, is our planet of thought, planet of intellect, communication. So it gets charged up by the sun's rays. So this brings aha moments and clarity on direction. So a lot of things that may feel fuzzy, while so the few days prior and the few days after, it's like hidden by the sun's rays. So sometimes things can feel foggy, or you feel like, okay, I know what to do, but I don't know how to do it. Or I know a message is like brewing, like here somewhere, but I don't know what to do with it. And so Sun conjunct Mercury is like, I got it. Boom. Let's get it. Let's move. So that's the Mercury Cazimi. Now stop yelling at me. I'm yelling at you. Okay, and then so I have two more major aspects. February 11th, we have Sun square Uranus and Taurus. And so bringing this back up, we're changing the paradigm of wealth. So the sun will be squaring its ruler, Sun square Uranus, Uranus rules Aquarius, right? Once again, squares are conflicting energies, but for your maturation, for your growth, for your elevation. So when you find balance between these two energies, that's where growth and breakthroughs are found. So there's a need for rebellion and there's a need for stability, right? Rebellion, Aquarius, stability with Taurus, right? They're squaring each other. So there's this desire for freedom and then there's this attachment to comfort and what has come easily for you, right? So what are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to give up? These old patterns that have become like a sense of security for you, are you willing to let that go? you know this can bring up those aha moments, kind of similar to the Mercury Cazimi. It can also bring like almost it can bring almost like these tower like um moments when you're not willing to let go. So just remembering on this day, when you start to face things that are changing drastically, remember that all things work out for your highest good. I remember I posted on Threads that I said the way to get your magic to work is to believe that it's working. So if you set this intention and things start to move and shake and break and crumble and, you know, go crazy around you, just always keep the perspective that your magic is working. Things are working out for my highest good. All good, all only the good things. Like, okay, so if this is my magic working, how is this shifting for my benefit? Let it crumble, right? This is a period of redirection. It's making you aware of where your blockages are. It's making you aware of the things that you are bound to and the shackles that you're holding on yourself. These self-imposed um limitations that you have, this prison that you have found yourself in. So the way to navigate Sun square Uranus is to be flexible. And whenever things are looking like they are in an upheaval, just root yourself back in your long-term vision. That's how you're going to find grounding in the midst of your turbulence. Okay, and so the last major aspect that the sun makes during its trek through Aquarius is the full moon in Leo, moon opposite sun, right? So this is your needs and the needs of those in your community. We know what our vision for the future is. We need to figure out how can we show that in a way that will also touch the needs and hearts of others. We cannot do this alone, okay? There's that recognition that we can't do it alone. So the full moon is the perfect opportunity for attracting those who will support your vision and support your success. These are the people who, like I said, Leo is the stage, Aquarius is the audience. How can you position your vision for the future to make other people want to buy into your idea or to fuel your idea? Aquarius rules the 11th house. The 11th house follows the 10th house, which is our success. The 11th house is the network or the friend groups or the community that will ugh, that will support your success. So how can we attract those people that are going to support our success? And so Actually, this is when I'm bringing back my center stage products with this full moon in Leo, because that's exactly what it was created for. Not worldwide visibility, but visibility for people and attracting that audience that is willing to support you in your endeavors, right? Willing to support your vision, willing to support your success. I'm also doing a ritual. Like as I'm charming the oil, I'm doing a ritual with that. If you guys want to get on my altar for that, I'll probably have it up tomorrow. So prepare to get an email if you want my email list, and prepare to see me posting about it. So everybody who joins this ritual will get their own custom bottle with their intentions specifically infused for them, if you join the ritual. So this is something I'll be working starting on the new moon in Aquarius, and I'll be working it throughout into the full moon in Leo with a big bang on the full moon in Leo, and then I'll start shipping orders. So let's do a discount code. Since for the people who watch this video, you can use code Spotlight. Let's use code Spotlight, and let's do 22% off. So you can use code Spotlight to join the ritual for 22% off, and you'll get a bottle of the oil as well after the ritual is done. I'll probably put it in the description when I edit this. My site's locked right now because I have to fix some stuff, but by the time people see this, the replay, it'll be back up. But yeah, Lord of Full Moon and Leo, I'll be there. Leo Chiron is so funny because it's like y'all have, like, how dare you have a Leo sun and midheaven, and then and then have a Leo Chiron, which is like your fear of the spotlight, right? But it's like you're a Leo sun and a Leo midheaven. So why would you give me this placement to put me center stage, no pun intended, to put me center stage and then have me afraid of being seen? What? And you a Scorpio rising, right? Yeah. It's just funny how that plays out. But yeah, and then the sun enters Pisces, like I said, on February 18th. So that is the sun and its trek through Aquarius. I hope y'all learned stuff. Do y'all have any questions? Let me know any questions. And also, would you guys like a calendar? Like a Google calendar, because I can make a public Google calendar. So like all of these things that I'm saying, I'll put it on the calendar, and then you guys can link that calendar to your personal calendar. Perfect. Okay, I'll make it free. I'll make it like, because I'm doing this anyway. You know what I mean? So I'll make it free. So as I'm adding interpretations and delineations of the transits, I'll post it to the calendar. That way you guys can keep up, because I know, like when I did the Mercury and Capricorn video, I talked only about Mercury transits, and then with the sun, I'm only talking about sun transits. And so having them all on a calendar, I think would be beneficial for everyone. That's cool. Sound cool? Okay, cool. Dope. I love it. I love it. I love it. I had something similar before, but it just I didn't promote it enough. But I'll make it free. I'll make it like a freebie. And I'll put it on the site probably tomorrow. Yes, absolutely. So no questions? Y'all don't have no questions? Thank y'all for hanging out with me. I know I'm late. I was like, I have to get on here and do this today because the sun is conjunct Pluto, but we still have a long Aquarius season to go. We have till mid-February. So, hopefully this helped. Hopefully you can navigate Aquarius season in alignment with the stars, because I feel like the stars reflect the thing. I mean, the stars are going to play out regardless in your life, but I feel like when you know what the transits are, you can kind of guide how it does play out. So I hope, in conclusion, I hope that you guys I hope that you guys really focus on how can you share your wealth, and wealth isn't only monetary. How can you share your wealth with the world, with your community? How can you create the community that you want to see? How can you create the world that you want to see? How can you play your part in this vision? How can you balance your boundaries with your community building? And how can you maintain the hope and finding the commonalities and the connection and the interconnectedness of all things? And of course, as you guys are going through this stuff, share your experiences with Aquarius season in the comments. You guys can, like I said, join the ritual. I'll have it up tomorrow. Join the ritual. Use the code Spotlight for 22% off. I still have some things left, and my readings are still open. I opened up some spots for February. Now what transit has me arguing with a stranger on TikTok today? That's funny. It's a Scorpio moon. It's a Scorpio moon. Everybody's on edge. And I think Sun Pluto also is playing a part because it's like a Scorpio moon on crack where everybody's just like on edge. Like people's nerves is bad. And Mars is retrograde. Mars retrograde, Sun Pluto, and Scorpio moon. Everybody's nerves is bad. Remember the Scorpio moon. So the moon rules Cancer and Mars rules Scorpio. And Pluto rules Scorpio. So the moon and Mars are in mutual reception, right? So people's nerves is bad. People are fucking traumatized. People going at it. Hey, Andrea, we about to wrap up, girl. Catch the replay, child. Hey, girl. Okay, I'm on the big screen, period. Perfect. All right, y'all. I'm about to hop off. Check out the site, getfromneptune.com. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.